Today we're going to be installing the Lowrance HDS Carbon 9 on a Chaparral 23-foot boat. Let's unpack the Lowrance HDS Carbon 9. See what's in the box here. Got the unit itself with the protective cover. Instruction and installation manuals. Got some hardware. Some more hardware. And then you've got the transducer with the cable. This is the 3-in-1 active imaging transducer. Got the power cable. And the multifunction display bracket and screws. Alright, now we got our transducer out of the box. I installed the bracket right over it. It's just six screws, pretty simple. And then the swivel bracket. A couple bolts. I just kept it loose for now until we figure out replacement. And looking at the transom right now. My boat sits on a trailer, so I think ideally would be somewhere right there in between the bunk and the engine mount, or the drive out mount. Another spot might be right there. Want to make sure that I don't hit the bunks, but I think I'm going to go right here. Put the drive all the way to the right. Plenty of space. Clears the bunk. I think we're going to do it there. And then run the cable. Put a hole in there. So I think I've settled on a spot where I'm going to mount the transducer, and you want this as low as possible so that when you're on plane, the transducer is actually in the water. So I think this is going to be the spot. I made two dots there. Just looking at the bottom, straight. You don't want to follow the hull line and mount it crooked like this. It has to be straight. Straight with the water, that is. Alright, let's drill some holes. Alright, so I've masked off the spots where I'm going to drill. Don't want to go too deep. Hopefully it doesn't pierce all the way through, but we've got the screw and the bracket, and that just about covers it. Let's take the tape off. Got 2 pilot holes. Now we're going to create some countersinks again so the gel coat doesn't break just a little bit. That's what we want it to look like. Alright, so I got my bracket, and I'm actually going to use a screwdriver to drive it in there. I don't want to use a drill. And it looks like some of the gel cum just lifted up as I try to put it in there. So I'm actually going to make my holes just slightly larger. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some 3M marine sealant, and this is the 4200. I know some people go with the 5200, which is more permanent, but I've talked to a number of installers. They said this does just fine. And if you ever want to take it off, I think it's a little bit easier than the 5200. One thing you have to be careful is you want to make sure that your whatever sealant you're using, it's for above and below the water line. In this case, it's obviously below the water line, so this one should work. And then I'm also just going to put some right on the screw itself. Just cover that up nice and thick. So we got our bracket. Alright, now that we have our bracket, it's time to connect the transducer. So we have the bolts and the nuts. Now, you want to make sure that the cable is on the inside so you don't pinch it. Alright, and I'm just going to keep it loose for now until everything's finally mounted. But I'm going to route the cable up like this. The water line's about here, so I'm going to try to get it right about here. Obviously, make sure that whatever's on the other end of it is free and clear, so you don't drill into something you might regret later. Alright, so I've been agonizing about where to put the hole for the cable, and we have to drill a 1-inch hole for this connector to go through. Kind of ridiculous that they don't make a snap-off connector or something or other, so that it's only the size of the cable, not the size of the connector that you have to drill in your boat. And give you guys a wider angle here. So I'm gonna put it, initially I want to put it through there, but I think there's too much to go through, so I might actually just place it right on top here. Alright, so I'm going to use a Forstner bit to drill the hole, and I think I've settled on going through the top instead of straight through the transom. Alright, so there was a bunch of debris coming down, but made it through. I'll screw up here, but that's gonna get covered. Alright, the cable through. Okay, so I unwound the cable. Yeah, we're just gonna fish that through. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna get it on the other side. Okay. Yeah, let's see if we keep it. Alright, there it is. Alright, so I fished the cable through and it's going to follow this path. I have a cooler space, so I took that off to gain access to the side of the boat. And there's the straight shot over to the helm. So I'm going to fish the cable through these hoops and show you the end result. Alright, so I've got the cables in, and next we're going to fit the fish finder, chart plotter, and unfortunately my helm is very rounded, not a lot of flat surface area, but essentially, and also it's a pretty big unit. It's a 9-inch. Got a pretty good deal on it. I wanted to go with the 7-inch originally, but couldn't pass this up. So I'm going to try to get her as close to the edge of the dash without hitting the window. So I made some pilot holes here, and it should clear the back, but we'll see. Alright, so I got the hole drilled in, fished a transducer cable, and unfortunately the screws that they give you I think are meant for dash mounting, not for this thing, because it just falls right through. So I have to get some new screws. Next up, power cable. There's a lot of accessory cables, but what you want is essentially red and black. Right, so I fished through the power cable, and the tie into here actually has a breaker for 5 already. So power goes here and negative goes here. Okay, so I routed the power cable right here, 5 fuse, and negative right over here. We have our power cable, transducer cable. Moment of truth. Alright, so I went ahead and installed the bracket. It took me some time. I had to get some extra screws. Fortunately, the placement of the unit doesn't grab onto a whole lot, so I had to put a couple screws sideways just so they would grab on to the fiberglass. And I connected the transducer cable and the power cable and powered it up. So there we go.